Beautiful. So I'm just so excited to have heard some of the conversations, and was pic- I love the fact that the voice of the youth is here. I sound like an old person talking about the voice of the youth because it wasn't so long ago I was one of them. And the beauty of the different perspectives, I think, is that we hold all of this inside of us. And if we can keep reminding ourselves that we have all of our past that we can access and we need not to fall asleep to it. So I welcome my panel. These are people that I'm work with in various ways. And I thought we'd like give you a little bit of a background to position the kind of work we do, which has been really founded in integral work, but in the regenerative work within our communities and in our area on this part of the continent and across the continent. And of course, you can see I have roots from Ireland and some of the northern regions. So I feel so connected, though, to my own third and fourth generation stories of living on the land and being in the land, and the panel will talk to it. We're delighted that Bayo Kamalafi has become such a spokesperson for so many things from the Voice of Africa. And there were so many resonances from the New Zealand group and what they were saying. It was like, you know, this most beautiful town and this space is just so beautiful. And I think all of us can say that. And how can we say that together on the places we live with? And of course, there aren't beautiful places. There are spaces that are being destroyed. So our work, I think, through what I do from the Integral Africa Institute and in working with Marina in the Living Cities Action Research and many others who are on here, as well as Living Cities and working towards developing what could be an integral leadership input into the world, but not in theory, something that is really touching with our ground, with the soil, from the roots up. And I do think the inclusion or the bridges that are forming is to see that this other side is such an alive and possible process and such a necessary process. In the kind of looking at the dimensions and threads of wisdom, we're looking at Ubuntu is one of the names for the way of being through an African philosophy. And it is deeply rooted in the land. It's in our soul. It's like you just know it. You know it in a way that it finds you and it is you, unless you want to do what many people are doing and it's been spoken to, there's these separations. So how can I introduce you to what we do is working to develop integral Ubuntu practitioners with accessing whoever is doing the work. And the sectors that we're working in are these that you can see on the screen. And it feels very pertinent from the last discussion in our work with university student leaders in what this could look like. How do we work with developing a wider frame for people to find themselves in? You'll hear one of our panel members talk from her work in and I'm supporting in the leadership program for doctors in city clinics. Zan, who will speak of the boys program and the compassionate birthing project. Dumi and Emmanuel will speak about what it means to come from the understanding of Ubuntu and Paderi as it is explored. And Tatu and Nicole will talk about their connections to spirit and soil and to their Indigenous communities, but within the work that they're doing. This has been alive for us as a kind of attempt to explore how this cosmic connection through the people and the animals and our earth and the trees and the container and the tree of life and the people, how do we connect and work through the integration process of bringing us back home, actually, in ways that we can speak to the African perspectives which underlie worldviews here. This is in a brief kind of concept of the macrocosmos and the mesocosmos and the microcosmos as it is seen. And of course, it is far more complex. But I think if you take your eyes off the words and go to the pictures, the photos, you will see the kind of aliveness that is in the heart and the body of the work that we do. These are just some images of people that have passed through our programs, and these are leaders in various fields of work, of community, of government, of the cities, who have taken on the learning and are spreading it in the most wonderful ways. And we obviously kind of integrate creative expressions of that work, which these are just some of. So our panel is Dr. Dumi Magaglela. Sorry about tripping over that. It's got nothing to do with you and the name Dumi. It's all my tongue exercises. And Zan Hode, and Angela Desar, Nicole Claessens, and Tata Parisa, and Emmanuel Haraperi. And I see we have Cleo online as well, which is just so wonderful to have seen how you are. So that you are there, to see the context of where we live. I put these in as a connection to, the spirit of the land and the spirit of the people. And this is Bishop Tutu, Archbishop Tutu, who talked a lot and lived Ubuntu, because it's not about talking, it's about living it. It's how you feel the land and the soil. And this is Baba Ndaba, a spiritual teacher, traditional spiritual teacher. And then I thought I'd put in Cape Town, whose mountain is also alive for us. And it has these arms around us. Cape Town is called the mother city. And Johannesburg, is probably the father city. It's really interesting to see the kind of different textures of living in the land. And of course, on the right-hand side, there is the picture at the bottom of the grasslands of Africa with its teeming animals, which is how do we, I even think there's a process of us saying, how do we preserve this? I think it's more about how do we connect back into this so that we don't come from what Bayer talks about as the Anthropocene and see us as everything, us human beings. So I'm just going to show you the pictures because I don't want to be distracted. Zan will talk about what about the boys, and she will chat more about this in our conversations with you and sharing what she does. Angela Desar will talk about, she's a doctor with lots of years in the clinics around Cape Town. Nicole Claessens is living in McGregor, and we have the McGregor Wisdom School there where many events are happening, and Nicole will speak to that. I haven't got everybody on here. And I think it's something, this is my grandson who I captured looking through, and I thought, how can we keep having that innocent eye onto the world and nurturing the expression to come home? To really come home to ourselves in ways that we can understand the parts, we can actually create the whole, and how we, even on this Connectathon, are talking about the same things, recognizing that universal language that I think was said is love. So can I now call on Dumi to start our conversation and say, what does this mean for you? How are you expressing Ubuntu and working in the world in so many domains that you work at? And many of these people have moved through our course and our programs. So we're speaking from a framework of a language that makes it really easy to speak to each other. Over to you, Jimmy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Paddy. And thank you, everyone that's been here. I was listening yesterday, listening to.
It's really hard to hear. Is it possible to put it louder?
Yeah,
Yes.
I can try.
That's good.
Is that better?
Good.
Was
Yes.
that
Yes, thank
Valerie?
you.
Can you hear me now? Oh, who was? Just check with the person who's not hearing me so that we are all together.
Yes.
Okay. I'll raise my voice. I can shout. It can really project very far. So not to blow your ears out, but thank you. Thank you, Paddy. What a beautiful, beautiful introduction. I love that. Thank you. Resonating and connecting and listening to everyone from yesterday when I could come in and out, and this morning. Thank you for being here, this space for being here. We are humane beings, human with an E. And the conversation on education and then on nature touched on a number of things that resonate with our conversation here today, Paddy, which could go anywhere really. So what I wanted to start with is how we connect, how we meet each other where we are. And I'll start with a proverb, an African proverb that says, you can outrun that which is chasing you, but you cannot outrun that which lives within you. I'll say that again. You can outrun that which is chasing you, but you cannot outrun what lives within you. What lives within you? What lives within me? It's our humanity. How far do we move? Have we moved as humanity for millennia from our core, our source? Land is one of that source. We carry who we are within us. The genetic studies and others that have tried to go back to say, where do we come from? Who are we? This is why I love the mention of land, Paddy, that you posited this whole conversation on. Land is one aspect of what we connect to and with. This is why geography is such a lie. It does not define all that you are. Geography is one lens, one way of looking at who we are. But we are more than that. We are multifaceted beings, grounded, yes, on land, but it's just one frame. The one I would like to invite us to pay attention to is exactly what you spoke to, coming back home. That grandson of yours just peeking around that tree, that's us as humanity looking into our souls as humanity. What do we see in each other? What are we open to? What are we vulnerable to as humanity to say, this is who I am, and this is how I'm coming across. And I'm able to present myself as I am, not someone else present me as they read me, as they encounter me. So coming back home to who we are, I would like to invite all of us to ask this question ourselves and keep asking it all the time. Who am I and who am I becoming? If you take away all the inherited learnings of who I am, perceptions of who I am, what's left behind? How does my environment shape who I become? How does my accident of birth shape who I become? What's connected to everything and everyone? The session earlier spoke to I'll wrap up now, Paddy. The session earlier spoke to the point about nature. We speak of nature as if it's something over there. Yet we are of nature. We are nature ourselves. So it's very important to connect the dots, to transcend geography, location, to transcend the gift wrapping we come in, to see beyond that. It's just a gift wrapping. Open the gift by connecting to the person in 3 ways. When you meet someone you encounter, greet them in 3 ways. Hey, Gavin, consciously, intentionally, mindfully. When we do that, like we're doing now, Paddy, consciously positioning who we are as a school, as an institution, as a program that's grounded in humanity, in the coaching center, we invite people to connect with who they are at a core level. My big brother, Manu, always speaks about how the corporate changes people into something else. I love that, by the way. I always hope you have a chance to share some of that, Manu. So I want to close by saying that we have a responsibility to each other to remove the masks we carry around and connect with ourselves first and with everyone else. First, as fellow humans on a journey and as extensions of each other, connected inextricably so. Thank you.
Thank you, Dumi. I just love the peeling the gift to find what is inside, and how striking that is for us. Thank you for that beautiful connection. So if we can go into Zan, perhaps you can say how you are expressing your gifts, your inner gifts in the way that you're working with young people.
Thank you. Thank you, Paddy. Thank you, Dumi. So I wanted to bring 2 of our projects that we are working with at the moment. The one is called the Compassionate Birth Project. And really, I think it was Anna who said at the end of the last session, is that when you love yourself, you can love everything else. And that really is at the foundation, in a way, of both of the programs. The other one is called What About the Boys? And it's a gender-based violence initiative for high school boys in South Africa. And the Compassionate Birth Project trains 4th-year medical students at university in compassion in the obstetric world. And obstetric violence is one of the last bastions of true, sort of, I say, accepted violence in the world, because it's like a silent scream. And so what we've realized is a beautiful place where we can encourage an end to that cycle is that if young medical students who are on their early 20s, who are burnt out, who are exhausted, who are working incredibly long hours, can bring their humanity to an interaction with a young woman in labor, it can actually change everything. And the research shows that the quality of an empowered birth changes the quality of the breastfeeding, the quality of the parenting. It has long-term implications for a couple staying together. And so what the Compassionate Birth Project training is it's all around, like Dumi said, supporting the medical students to make that connection. And it's not empty words like empathy and compassion. It's like, how do I connect with who I am deeply? What is my humanity? And then how can I connect to this vulnerable person who really just needs me to listen, who needs me to hold space at a kind of emotional, psychological, and energetic level, who needs me to make as few interventions as possible. And we've been doing this for about 10 years now, I think maybe about 2,000 medical students. And I just wanted to read you a short quote of one of our latest cohorts that finished in the last month or so. He said, I learned that intentional listening and active gratitude are fundamental to personal and professional growth. They are powerful practices that help me connect with others. And so that concept of connection, it's like I wrote down when I was listening to the introductions, what gets in the way of connection? And I think that there are many reasons, and I have to ask myself, what's happening with me when I'm failing to connect? And I think that often it's burnout, it's overwhelm, it's ego, it's fear. And so that brings me then to the project, which is called What About the Boys? And that for the last 3 years, we take 60,000 teenage boys per year to see a feature film that we've made. So it's like edutainment. It's a fabulous story. It's very gritty. And then the boys get a printed toolkit, which looks like this. And it's beautifully illustrated with comics, and it's multilingual. And then they have access to mentors. They have access to opportunities like bursaries, because what we've realized through the research that the 4 pillars for this are: how can young guys reimagine their masculinity? How can they self-regulate? How can they get support around trauma? And how can we support these young guys to create hope for their future? Because if you're living in a seriously impoverished environment with no hope for your future, you're unable to self-regulate because things are tough: poverty, violence, alcoholism, and sadly, no access to wild spaces. How can we then bring all these things together in such a way that we can provide young people with concepts and tools and experiences around how can I be the person I want to become? Who am I now? And how can I change? And so we've had quite a lot of success. It looks like we swinging the tide, because South Africa has an incredibly high rate of gender-based violence. And our theory of change is that if we can support young people to have hope, self-regulate, share trauma, and have opportunities to participate in the economy. Because if you're hungry and you are unable to work because there are no job opportunities, violence is a sort of a natural offshoot from that. So I think that really just wanted to wrap it up then with, we have amazing opportunities in South Africa to make a difference to ourselves, make a difference to the beautiful, hopeful young people that are really struggling in our world. And I'm very hopeful for the world. I know that we feel that we're overwhelmed and that there's a lot of very serious problematic stuff going on all fronts. But every time I participate in a forum like this, and I can feel every single one of our hearts connecting, that's all it takes, is to step into vulnerability and to step into love. And I'm up for it. So thank you for giving me a chance to share my story. Thank you.
Thank you so much, San. The empowered birth, I'm kind of linking that to how do we continue using that, part of our concept of the U is that it is the big womb, and the big womb of holding what is working together in what can give birth to all sorts of shifts, no matter where we are putting our attention. But holding that container of the container first and then moving into the agency afterwards. How do you hold and nurture that and move into how to make it happen? Thank you for the work you're doing. I think we'll move naturally into Angela there because of the kind of medical link. So let's go there. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, sure. Zan has said so much of the communities that I've spent pretty much my whole professional career working in as a clinician. And so much of what Dumi and Zan have already spoken about, and you, Paddy, have like sort of really resonated with me. And from my perspective, really, it's about how I empower communities and how I empower the individuals in front of me um, to show up in terms of their own healthcare and show up in terms of their own healthcare provision. We always feel like we have to go in there and fix it when in fact we need to be partners rather than fixers. So from my side, I think what I'm my focus has been mostly on being of some support to healthcare workers, a recognition of the tremendous burden that they carry, not just in terms of the burden of disease, but also the sort of moral and ethical burden of trying to be that kind of healthcare practitioner. And recognizing the difficulties for us in those communities of being able to show up in a way that encourages our patients to be more sort of or empowers them with more agency. So I think a big gap for me that has come up on a repeated basis has been that the space that we work in needs leadership that is more person-centered. And as a family physician, having worked for many years, one of the principles we've always sort of abided by is someone who is person-centered rather than disease-centered. And leadership needs to be that kind of person as well. And it does require intentional development of skills in that area. So after having done the coaching course with yourself and at the school, I really saw a gap for developing those skills in our registrars. So they're specialists in training in family medicine. And we've been involved in a few years now. We've developed a group coaching approach to their leadership and governance module. So this is in their third year of training that they get some opportunity to reflect on themselves stepping into these leadership roles for the future, given that in the district health system that we're in at the moment, family physicians are sort of required to step into multiple roles, which really, really require leadership presence in a way that brings out the best in the teams that they lead and in the stakeholders that they will be collaborating with, as well as the responsibilities that they take as teachers, clinicians, etc. So I think it's been quite an exciting journey, and we're certainly seeing that we've done some research and evaluation of the course recently, which we feel has really shown up that it's certainly making a difference. And the exciting next step is to expand it and bring it into the first year program as well, with more of a focus on self-awareness and developing their personal skills, their personal sort of leadership skills. Yeah. So going forward, there is quite an appetite, and I'm just really excited for that space. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. And it's been an honor to be part of the leadership development and bringing, integral perspectives and helping these doctors who have been really so skilled in what they do and also so burnt out by the way the system is working with them. And it's almost inhumane in some ways, to go back to you, Dumi, of what is expected. So there's a huge system shift that needs to be worked with at the same time as activating these young leaders. And it can be so bad, as one of the delegates in one of our modules on the leadership, I asked him what was, he seemed a bit flat, and what was he okay? Yeah, I'm okay. And I pursued this a little bit to find out that, a gang had come into the clinic and had fired shots, and they all, just in the work of a day, had to duck down and manage this. And then a couple of hours later, he turns up into a leadership program. Now, Zan, you were talking about the nervous system as well, which, Angela, I mean, we all know what that means. And this process of having a system and the relational space, the internal connection, and actually how we do this differently, in order to be different, is so passionately part of my hope for all of us to activate in the world. So thank you for the work that you're doing and pioneering in there. So if I can lead into, I'm not sure, maybe Nicole, will go to you at this time, if we may, because there seems some link which I'm not quite sure of in my head, but to naturally go to the stories that you have and how this connection takes place in the way that you are following and what you're calling into your work and your spirit of both community work and into something that is touching in with the ancestors of our land.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Paddy. It's wonderful to hear all of you and very heartwarming to spend an afternoon here. I am, in essence, a healer, and my medicine sometimes manifests as a facilitator and as a diviner, and sometimes through community work. None of them are really separate. I work with dreams, I work with divinations, I work with ritual, and I work very closely with the ancestors of the soil to guide my work here in McGregor and in the community. My own background is that I was born in Cape Town. My ancestry is rich and complex. Essentially, I have 3 tributaries of different ancestors, some from Africa, indigenous Kwena people, Khoi and Bushmen. I also have ancestors from India, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, and Asia. People who were brought here to South Africa as enslaved peoples. And I also have European and British ancestors. And so reconciling my own identity and my own roots led me into the path of healing. And as I healed myself along the way, the question became, so what am I going to do with this medicine? After I'm healed and all of this, what am I doing? What am I doing it for? Who am I doing it for? And so I started listening, and I got called to McGregor to come and serve here in community and work with the Wisdom School and a number of other community practitioners. And I said yes to the call, and I, again, didn't know exactly what I was coming for, because I, at this stage of my life, have devoted my work to listening and working with the other ways of knowing and the ways of my grandmothers and great-grandmothers. And I arrived without knowing why I'm here. And in my listening and bonding and connecting with this land and these ancestors of this soil here, the dreams started coming, the messages started coming, the synchronicities started coming. And over time, we've developed a program for, it started with girls, it became girls and young women, it became women, mothers, aunties, and elders. And we simply started walking and talking about the land, the plants, the waters, and connecting with each other, sitting in circle, listening, hearing each other. And over time it became, what can we make with these plants? We can make soaps, we can make lotions, we can cook with the plants, we can heal each other with the plants. We can remember through the plants, we can honor the ways of our lineage with the plants. And these days, now we have elders who take us out on walks together and harvest, and we are making beauty products, what looks like beauty products, but is a much deeper remembering of beauty, true beauty, through honoring our ancestors, honoring this lineage, particularly our indigenous lineage, is a matrilineal lineage and is a matriarchal lineage. The wisdom keepers in Kwena culture are the women, particularly the eldest daughters, sometimes called the Osis, the old sister, Ausi. And this word comes from the old Khoi language, the Kham language, Aus, and Aus means big water. It means big sister. It means blood. And it's in all those, in all of that, it means also, essentially means the knowledge keeper. And the knowledge keepers, the women knowledge keepers are also known to be the keepers of the land. It's the women that tend the land. It's the women that take care of the plants and the food and the children. It is the women who are the midwives. It's the women who know who the fathers are of all the children. So they keep the family. We keep the family tree. We keep the medicine. I see Dumi laughing. Yes, we know who the fathers are. And we can recite where they come from, who they come from, where they come from. We are the keepers of the tree, the keepers of the knowledge. And somewhere along the way, and particularly with the severing of apartheid from our roots, we became classified into a brown, just this brown box by skin color, and got severely cut off from our lineages. So a big part of what we are doing here through our walking and remembering and reciting our family trees, we're also remembering all our heritages. Some people have Zulu heritage, some people have Tswana heritage, some people have Asian heritage. Many are surprised to find out they have German and French heritage. So we are remembering, we are honoring our roots and honoring the stories of this land and everything that this land remembers. Many of the children we work with, like the children that Zan spoke about and some of the children in the other program and the young woman, many of them are touched by a stack of intergenerational trauma that feels almost, impossible to imagine. Many of the young people have fetal alcohol syndrome, so they may look in their 20s, 25, 28, or so they look like young people, but they are cognitively younger. So we do no reading and writing in our programs. We only work with the body. We work with the dreams. We work with the divinations, dance, storytelling, and walking. And in that way, again, we honor also our ancestors in that way, through this reconnection, through deep reconnection of land, body, and nature. And we remember again that we are also the land. So
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for taking us deep, and thank you for taking us into what lies within the land and the essence of all our people who are touched by this. Can we move to you and then Manu to you? Be lovely for you to bring your voice in. Tato, just unmute.
Sorry, Paddy. I thought you wanted to bring Manu's voice in.
Yours first and then Manu.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you. Kgotso Bagolo, beautiful afternoon to you. Happy Sunday. So, Kgotso is a Sotho name. Loosely translated, it means peace in English. So, I've just recently graduated as a faith healer within my church. And our greeting is Kgotso. It's not only Kgotso, but if I'm greeting a male person, I'll say Kgotso mme. And no, a male is Kgotso ntate. And then females is Kgotso mme. So what this means is it doesn't matter how old you are or what rank you hold in the church or, you know, what your background is. What it does is it helps us to treat everybody with the same approach. And when I say kgotso to you, what it means from an Ubuntu perspective is I come in peace. And in saying goodbye, I also say kgotso, which means I leave you in peace. What this does for us as a community and as a way of being is it helps us with being present, and it also drives that intentionality of what are you bringing to the table? I come in peace. And when I leave you in peace. Yeah. And so yes, I've graduated as a faith healer, and that's what I'm practicing. But at the same time, I'm a student under Paddy's leadership. And what I'm trying to do on my integral journey is to integrate my spirituality, my my role as a faith healer with integral coaching. And what this helps me in my practices, let me put it that way. On the one hand, I'm a faith healer. On the other hand, I'm an emerging integral coach. So in the spiritual sense, it helps me not only look at the spiritual line of intelligence, but also understand, what lies beneath the waterline. So for me, this journey has been very beautiful in that it's opening me up to broader thinking and a broader sense of in bringing the lines together, but with the intention of leaving the person whole, whether it's in the coaching environment or it's in a faith healing environment. And all of this, just the foundation of it is Ubuntu. I see you, I feel you, I recognize you. I feel you feel me. I see you seeing me. And it's all about intentionality and the way in which we want to show up in the world. And can you imagine if now this becomes universal? It would change the way you approach the petrol attendant. Because in my world, it's kgotso ntate, and then the rest of it happens, yeah? And the cashier at the shop, whoever you meet, the person who comes to do my garden, my CEO at work, whatever the case is, but it's about coming in with that humility, coming in with saying, I see you, I feel you, and I see myself in you. And therefore, that is what connects us. And not your grades and your, I don't know, job roles and this, that, and the other, but at a very basic level. Hi, kgotso. Thank you.
Thank you, Tato. And beautifully into bringing that connection. And I am going to heed the fact that this is a wonderful image. And within that, as we're developing, we need to have the courage and the capacity to set boundaries and the capacity to hold this love in a way that is not pushed over, that can endure, the territories of pain and the territories of tension and the territories of huge despair. And this is what makes us human, is really being able to endure what in our unfolding and the birthing and the exploring of these regions of connection. When we connect, we risk being seen and we risk seeing the other. And we risk seeing all that is in our land and in our hearts and in what is not working and what is working. So this is rigorous stuff. This is not stuff for the faint-hearted. This is building our central peace, our medicine, so that we can connect with the herbs, with the life of others, to continue in the thriving regenerative medicine. With that, Manu, could you please bring your voice in?
Thank you, Paddy, and hello, everyone. I'm challenged because if I were to tell a story of what I'm doing, I'll need an hour. So I'm just going to share a story coming from my past that says what I'd like to say. At a very young age, I stayed with my grandfather and would receive a lot of people into the call. And at one point, you'll say, "We are moon," meaning that's a person. So I was young, and I said, "Oh, okay, that's a person, fine." That was in Zimbabwe. I moved to Zambia, and the local people in Zambia that I stayed with are Nyanja speaking. And among the elders, I'll hear them say, "We only moon to you." Exactly what my grandfather would say. That's a person. And I said, "But we're all people, you know. What is the big deal?" Then my father used to work with various people. He was a businessman in Zambia. And among them was a Mr. Haynes. Mr. Haynes was of European origin. And one day we had done our business at his farm and we were leaving. He's driving off with a big smile. And he says, "Haynes, Munu." I says, "Haynes is a person? Munu means an African. It doesn't mean a white man. What are you talking about?" Because we actually had a name called Murungu, meaning a person from European origin, and Munu. That's what I understood. And that was a watershed moment for me, because I then said to myself, what is this thing about Munu, Muntu? And I started searching for it. And the long and short of it is that it's Ubuntu. Each one of us has got their own Ubuntu. How you express it, how you share it, and how you live it. It's not something you can separate and say, this is Ubuntu. No, it is in you. And how you connect with it and is how you actually connect with nature. You connect with everybody. It's about relationships, love, and being responsible. And I then realized Ubuntu does not necessarily have to be an African person. It can actually be anybody who cares, who loves, who is responsible, who can make the connections. And I said, oh, okay, this is interesting. So as I grew up in Zambia, I actually saw the first president of Zambia struggle with it in hindsight, because he created humanism, what he called humanism. But what he was actually trying to say, he was trying to put a base. He had 73 languages and he was trying to bring all those people to one place, to be people, one people in his country. And he did that up till this day. I think it was 2016, CNN said Zambia is the happiest nation in Africa. And the man who then said it very well for me is the first president of Ghana. He said, I am an African, not because I was born in Africa, but because Africa was born in me. And all he was calling for is unity and responsibility. So my challenge to you is, how do we show our Ubuntu? all of us, to make the place a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Manu. Can I open to the floor? Has anything been, or to our panel, what has been enlivened in you from this conversation? What thoughts do you have? What responses do you have? Any of my panel? Anyone in the group?
I think maybe if I can just start off with, yeah, I keep coming back to a story that I often tell the medical students that I teach. And it's in recognizing the wisdom and the capacity in our patients to be their own healers. But that we need to be willing to walk alongside them rather than to dictate what is best for them. That we're really just that person who walks alongside them, the expert advisor, and they're the expert of their lives. And if we can just make sure that we live that in our work, I think we go a long way to giving them back the agency that they need to look after their own health. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks, Ange. That speaks to me a little bit, Manu, about a story that you told of people coming to support the farmers. And you remember from Friday. And that you want to quickly say.
Like I said, I would need a lot of time, but we go into communities with prescriptions and we'll have developed very, very good strategies for them. And I so happened to be in Mozambique, in a place where the community that we're working with did not know I could speak their language. So they also thought I was. And they kept saying, no. These people need to give us the money that we need. And it was a watershed moment because we actually realized that they have got their plans. No matter how much prescription we bring, they actually own their own plans. They actually know what they need. They are complete as human beings. They are wholesome as they are. They may not have the resources, but they are wholesome. They are complete people. So it's you having a strategy at a later stage that is all encompassing. But you also need to be aware of what is at a local level. And you have to build that to whatever level you want to take it to. You cannot build it from the top coming down. You have to build it from the bottom up. And that is just amazing because in each one of us, if we are to work that way, and you also realize that these people work in communities, and they are what they are because they are in a community. And the community is actually formed by them. You cannot be without the community, and the community cannot be without them, without each one of you. Just like we are on the screen. I wouldn't make this community. But because we are all here, we are a community.
Wow. Thank you. Wonderful. So Nes, there's one sentence that's emerging or sitting on your hearts. Nicole, Dumi.
Yeah.
Dumi?
Nicole, please go. You go first. I'll come after you. Thank you.
We have all 2 minutes. Yeah, so
Oh, I'm just reminded on the South African coat of arms, in the old language it says "Karakle," which means diverse people unite, is the literal translation. But actually, in spirit, it is more like Ubuntu. It means I am through you. And the old people said we learned this from the plants. So I'm just reminded of that. Nature's been teaching us for a long time.
Beautiful. Dumi, 1 minute. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you, Nicole. And our work is to listen to nature, to everything, and to everyone. We kind of need to take this thing out of our ears and really tune in and listen. So my final word, Paddy, on this one today is we have a responsibility to all of ourselves and to nature to be the best versions of ourselves. Our work here is to co-create safe enough spaces for everyone to express the unique gifts that can only come through them. And that's why coaching remains sacred.
We're promoting the conversations that matter. Thank you so much. And from a term we coin of compassionate accountability, if that is how we can live our lives. Thank you so much for being a wonderful conversational part. I've been inspired again and can go off with a heart full. And I'm so excited to see Cork coming into the next hour because I have some roots in Ireland. Thank you so much, Marina.